No matter what ESP you use, the way you structure your data foundation is the most important part of making sure your automations work properly. If you do not understand the difference between an event, event properties, and attributes, your automations will get messy very fast. So today I'm going to be using customer.io, and I'm going to walk you through how these three differ inside of the platform. And I'm going to walk you through a very simple tactical workflow that uses all three so you can understand how they work together to make a very personalized experience for your customers. But before we go into anything, there are three very important terms you need to know. First being attributes. So attributes describe the current state of your customer. These live on the profile of your customer and whatever platform you use. Then we have events. Events tell me what a customer actually did, and it allows you to keep a historical backlog of the actions that your customer did. And the event properties are the context of the actions they actually took. So for example, a customer's current subscription plan, that could be an attribute that lives on their profile. A purchase being made, that is an event or an action a user took. Now taking that purchase and saying that person has purchased a shoe, that would be a property that lives on the actual purchase. So that is a framework you can follow at a very basic level. Attributes should equal the current state of where your customer is right now. An event is the action that a user took, and the event property is the actual context or description of the action that they actually took. Okay, so now I'm going to go into customer.io and go a little more in depth to kind of show you a visual of how these all work inside of an actual platform. So let's start with attributes. As I mentioned before, attributes normally live on a customer's profile. It should generally tell you what is true about that customer at that current moment, their current subscription plan, their life cycle stage, their loyalty tier, or any other things that are currently true about that customer. So let's take a look at Maya's profile really quick. So as we can see, if we scroll down here, we can see attributes that are true about her right now. Her current plan is pro. Her current stage is a customer. Her current loyalty tier is gold. And her preferred category is shoes. And now it's important to note, this is not her complete history. This is just a snapshot of who she is right now. Now let's move over to Maya's activity timeline. So this is basically, let's actually filter by events to make this easier to look at. So this is basically a behavioral history of what Maya has done. As you can see, it is chronological from bottom to top. So as you can see, an account was created, a product was viewed, a purchase was made, and a plan was updated. Now let's go into one of these events and look at it. Like I say, purchase made. So purchase made was the actual general event she actually completed, or the actual action that she completed. And like I said before, the event properties or the description of what the purchase was. So we know how much the purchase cost, what the category was, what the ID of the actual product was, and what the name of the product was. So these are what makes the actual event usable in an automation to personalize emails, to make sure people are being put down the right paths in the automation, which you will see later. And it makes the event actually usable. If we just had an automation that fired on purchase made and we did not have these properties, it would be a very generic email that just says, hey, thank you for your purchase. With these properties, we can now say, hey, thank you for purchasing the Velocity running shoe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And because we have these specific event properties, we do not need to create an event for every single product. You'll go in some ESPs, or yours might be like this right now, where you have an event for every single product or every single category, where it says purchase made shoes, purchase made shirt. You don't have to do that. You can have one clean global event that is scalable because you have context of what the purchase was on the actual event every customer fires. Now, there are some actions where events and attributes actually work together. For example, plan updated. So when a plan actually becomes updated, we still want the event to occur of when a plan was updated, so we can have an historical context of that the transition of the plan actually happened. And we'll be able to see the actual previous plan that the user was on and the new plan that the user was on. But we also want to make sure we're updating the property on her profile as well as that event fires. So when an event fires, we're going to update the current plan to pro, so we have a record of what she currently is on. So again, we both have a historical record of her plan being updated, what the previous plan was and what the new plan was. And we also have a snapshot of what her current plan is, so we can use it to fire automations. You always want to keep that historical backlog of events to analyze, reporting, for suppression, For many other things we'll talk about in later videos, but you always want to keep that historical record, and which is why events are so important. And you should not only just be storing stuff, important details like this, only as properties, because all that stuff, all this overwrites. This will always overwrite. So if she goes to a new plan, that will overwrite. If she becomes a different life cycle stage, that will overwrite. If she goes to another tier, this will overwrite. If her preferred category changes, this will overwrite. You want that historic line of events to be there at all times. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, so now let's walk through a quick workflow I made to kind of give you a visualization of how these all work in an automation context. So first, we obviously have our trigger. Our trigger is what makes the workflow actually go. So we have an event called purchase made. It's our general purchase event. So whenever a purchase made, they will enter into this automation. Now, since we have those properties on that actual event, we can do a split. A split is basically saying true or false. Is this actual thing that we're setting as the condition true or false? For here, as you can see, we're using the product category event property, and we're saying if product category is equal to shoes, send them down the true branch. If it is false, send them down the generic branch. So this is using the event and then the event property to do a true false on it to make it even more relevant, because we don't want to just say purchase made. We want to say if they purchase a shoe, we can do something custom for them, upsell them to an accessory. If they haven't, we can maybe do something else. But that is events and event properties being used in automation. Then you can go one step further if you want to personalize even further and use a customer attribute. So the customer attribute we would use was loyalty tier. That is our current state right now. What is our loyalty tier right now? That's equal to gold. We may want to send a email with a little more oomph to it, maybe a bigger discount because she has a higher loyalty tier, which we probably can equate to a higher customer value. So we maybe can afford to actually offer a discount to get them to make another purchase or increase the likelihood of them making another purchase. If they aren't a gold tier and they're a new customer and they haven't really reached payback yet, we may want to send a basic email without a discount that is a generic buy accessory email. But that is a simple concept and simple understanding of how you can use this in automations. We have the event as the generic upper level. Then we have the event actual property to give us more context about the event. Then we can go even a step further and use customer attributes on it, on the customer, to personalize even further by let's say loyalty tier to give us a more custom experience. So one important limitation that you may come across in customer.io is that you can only do these splits on event properties if that event is the event triggering the actual flow. So for example, if I trigger this flow with, see if I can edit this real quick. If I trigger this flow with product view, and then I want to do a split, let's see. If I wanted to do a split here, events, if I wanted to do a split here for purchase made, because it's common to say like, okay, they viewed this product, I want to see if they purchased this product before I try to get them to buy it. You cannot do a event property split here. You cannot do an event property evaluation here. You can only see if they had made a purchase, period. So this is one limitation with the event property specifically in customer.io. There are other platforms that you can do this in, but in this case, you probably want to use a data-driven segment to do that. You can do a API webhook call to a data warehouse with the customer ID that entered the flow to verify if they've made the purchase of that product they viewed. But that is another video I will make in the future. Just wanted to share that limitation with you in case you run across it. But yeah, simply stick to, if you do not have these complexities, simply stick to using the trigger and the event property split here, and you won't run into any problems. So a quick recap, the easiest way to remember this is attributes equal current state, events equal the actions that a user has taken, and it provides you a historical log with the action that they're taking in a chronological order. And event properties give you context on those events that you can use to personalize communications. You can use it to do suppression. You can use it for a plethora of things alongside and in combination with attributes as well if you want to personalize even deeper. But these are the foundations of automation, the foundations of personalization. If you do not understand this, your data and the ESP will look nasty and your automations will be messy and probably won't work properly. So I'm also creating a free template that will help you map your events, map your event properties, which we call those event schemas. We have an event in the properties inside the event that is an event schema, and it will help you also. The template will also help you map out your attributes, and it will help you determine which one is which and how to do it properly so your ESP stays clean and your automations fire properly. And if you are a business owner and you do need help setting up automations like these or getting your data in line and things like that and getting your data piped into an ESP to do stuff like this, you can reach out to me. My information is in the description. You can reach out to me and we can discuss possibly working together for sure. So thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you got value from this and have a great day.